Phil.
Are you listening? Damn.
What's up, YouTube? Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Race to 100.
Running out of fingers.
This is episode 9, you guys, and thanks again for tuning in. Today, we are going to talk about something very interesting. Before we do, I'm Neil Patang.
I'm Rich Thorcell, and today we are going to be talking a little bit about affirmative action.
Affirmative action. So before we get into our discussion about affirmative action, what Rich and I wanted to do is we were first going to define what it is and talk about our personal experiences regarding affirmative action. So before we delve into it, let me just tell you guys what affirmative action is. I would love to enlighten you guys. Favoring those of a disadvantaged group who currently suffer or historically have suffered from discrimination within a culture.
So what does that mean?
What's that mean?
Yeah.
Giving opportunities to the oppressed that have never encountered or experienced those otherwise. Yeah. That's what those mean to me. That's what that means to me. So yeah, just helping those out who have been slighted for their race, creed, religion, or gender, and taking care of that.
Yeah. And this is like a topic that has been in the news a lot recently because there's Supreme Court cases, and there's actually going to be some Supreme Court cases coming up, which we'll end up talking about in later episodes. But basically, affirmative action came into effect under the 14th Amendment, the Equal Protection Clause, in about, what was it, like 1868, I believe.
Yes.
And it was meant to counterbalance this 40 acres and a mule reparations deal after the Reconstruction era. And it has historically, during the Civil Rights Movement, there was this renewed push for affirmative action and what that would look like. So you had a lot of African Americans who were in the Jim Crow South and, I mean, even in the North, and they didn't have the tools necessary to a lot of times enter the workforce, right?
Yes.
And affirmative action was meant to fix the issues of that
Racial discrimination
by forcibly making institutions, corporations, all that, meet certain quotas. So there was a clear and intentional effort that race play a part in how that's determined. So what have your experiences with affirmative action been like?
Okay, so we're going to talk about our personal stances on affirmative action.
As ignorant as they may be.
Do you want to lead us off, or would you like me to?
I feel like every time I lead us off, I always say that I'm like neutral on the topics that we're talking about.
You're neutral?
Well, in this instance, I would say affirmative action is a Band-Aid that doesn't fix the underlying problems. And ultimately, I think that affirmative action has only caused more resentments in both the white and black communities that has made our racial issues worse.
Okay.
Now, I'm not saying that it shouldn't exist, and I think that for what it is, it's been beneficial, but it's caused a lot of problems, deeper problems.
Okay.
So that's my personal take. I've never had the experience where I have been the white person on the other side of affirmative action, where an African American or another minority has gotten a job over me. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if any of you out there have experiences.
Or woman,
yeah.
Because people tend to forget that affirmative action also benefits women as well.
Yes.
But yeah,
so I've never had that personal interaction with affirmative action where it's been used against me.
Okay. Here's my personal stance on affirmative action. My personal stance. I am neutral when it comes to it, and here's
Sound
why.
Like me.
I know for the wrong reasons. In my experiences in life, I have benefited from it, and at the same time, I feel as if it has undermined my achievements. Let me give you guys a brief story. I went to a high school in Glen Ellen, Illinois, and it was our senior year. Everyone was applying for schools. People were getting into schools. People weren't getting into schools. I was accepted into the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign. I didn't end up going there, but I was accepted, and I didn't even tell anybody about this. Somehow it got around that I got in, and some girl from our high school who is a reporter now and doing great things out there. She pulls me aside. Well, she didn't pull me aside. We just kind of ended up talking. I really wasn't trying to have a conversation with her, but she kind of forced that upon me because she was like, "Hey, Neil Batank got into University of Illinois Champaign," and she started asking me. She's like, "Hey, you got into Champaign. Good for you." And then she started saying, "You know, you only got in there because you're black, right?" And I just sized her up right quick. And she started going on this affirmative action spiel, and I said, "You know, affirmative action benefits women as well, right? Like, it isn't just a minority thing. You know that, like, a Caucasian girl might get a spot over a Caucasian male because she's a lady, and everyone has quotas to fill."
And this was in high school.
This was
you
in
guys
high
were
school,
having this
and we had this
conversation.
talk, and
Like 18 years, 17, 18 years
she
old.
couldn't understand what the hell I was talking about. So that's why I have this indifference towards it, because
It's been there for you, but you haven't necessarily
exactly.
taken advantage of it.
The qualities of affirmative action have been advantageous and disadvantageous to my life simultaneously. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So how do you feel today that you as a black man are able to succeed? Do you feel like the playing ground for you as an individual is pretty level when it comes to race?
I don't think anything is level. I don't think there's any level playing ground with regards to race. In all aspects, in all industries, nothing is ever like that. That's just the world we live in, and I've come to terms with it, and I'm all right with it now.
Now, do most African Americans that you know have some sort of experience with affirmative action? Are they able to talk on that topic?
I'm sure I know a few. I mean, I'm sure I know.
Is that like an acknowledged thing?
Is it an acknowledged thing? You know, again, we can't necessarily say, because again, the door has been shut on people I know of African Americans, and doors have been open. You know what I'm saying? So it's not like you're black, so you're gonna get everything you need. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or you're not black, so you're not gonna get everything you need. Again, it's a revolving door. So you've succeeded at times, you've failed, but again, as long as you keep going, hey, we didn't make the rules. I didn't ask to be this way. I didn't ask to look like this. I didn't ask for
What,
John
Handsome and Charlie?
You said it, not me. I didn't ask for John F. Kennedy to bring the term affirmative action to light in the '60s. You know, I'm just a product of my environment. However, I'm not going to let any of that affect me and stop me. So, and that's ultimately what the point is with all this, you know?
Yeah. And so you have this wide spectrum of people who have very strong opinions. I know that we're kind of fluffy on where we come down in affirmative action, but there are people out there who are very intense about this topic.
Oh, you know, I know that's true. The president of the United States, black man, albeit 50%, he is against affirmative action. I mean, so you have African Americans who are against it.
You have Clarence Thomas on the Supreme Court, a black man.
Exactly, who is against
strongly
it.
Against
and
it.
you have whites who are strongly against it, and you have whites who are strong, white liberals who are strongly for it. So again, it just depends on how you view things and, the way you grew up. But personally, my stance is I'm indifferent. I'm literally neutral. I'm rarely neutral on topics. This one I am, though.
Well, I think as the year moves on and court cases end up coming up and there's more of this conversation in the news, we'll probably revisit it and we'll talk a little bit more about some of the weird historical stories of affirmative action and what it's looking like today and the impact that it's having, the real impact that it's having on the black community.
Okay.
And the white community too. I mean, this
Yeah.
is something that affects all sides, women, men,
Yeah.
doesn't matter your color. So, I guess with that, you got anything else that you want to add?
Thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure you check out more episodes of Race to 100.
Especially the Bernie episode.
Especially the Bernie
got
Sanders
a couple
episode.
hits.
That
We
was
got
a good one.
Good conversation going on there.
But keep checking us out, you guys. We have
Yeah.
more content to come. Feel free to like, comment, or subscribe. We appreciate you checking us out.
And we will catch you next time on the Race to 100. Peace.